All right, before we begin the regular commission meeting, we have a public hearing. So we'll begin that public hearing. I call that public hearing to order. In attendance, we have Commissioners Olson, Fair, Behrens, and Mayor Brian Smith, along with staffers to help us get through this. We do have a quorum. Purpose of the hearing, of course I didn't bring my iPad with me here, so we're going to read it off my phone. Purpose of the hearing is you are hereby notified that Timothy Gorky, Craig Gorky agent, has made application to the City Planning Commission requesting a special use permit in accordance with section 17.230, parent 2, parent C, parent 13 of the Municipal Code, B2 Central Business District, special uses to allow for the use of the property as a coffee and food service established, more fully described as follow to wit, 217 South Main Street. Close enough. All right, you are hereby notified that the City Planning Commission will hold a public hearing on the request on Wednesday, February 6, 2019 at 5:15 p.m. in the council chambers. The hearing will be for the purpose of giving an opportunity for any person interested, their attorneys or agents, to be heard. So the way public hearings works, then if there's people in the audience that would like to give testimony in favor of the special use permit, they come up to the podium, give their name and address for the record, and then just tell us why they're in favor of it. Then we give people the ability to, if they're in opposition to it, to do the same. And then we finish up the public hearing. And once we get to the City Planning Commission, that's when we actually discuss the special use permit at that time. Okay? Make sense? So at this time, then, I would take testimony in favor of the special use permit for this coffee shop. Again, if you'd like to speak on that, just step up to the podium, give your name and address for the record, limit your time to 3 minutes or less. Nobody jumping at it. Let's take testimony in opposition to the special use permit. Do we have anybody in opposition to the special use permit? Seeing none, hearing none, I declare this hearing closed at 5:20 p.m. All right, let's go ahead and move into, give me a second here. Let's move into the regular Planning Commission meeting. Good thing my granddaughter taught me how to use this phone today. All right, oh, here it came up now. All right, we have the agenda in front of you. I call this meeting to order. Same individuals are in attendance that were at the public hearing, and Justin has so noted. We need a motion to approve the agenda.
Move to approve the agenda.
Second.
Motion by Olson, second by Fair, that we approve the agenda as printed. I guess we do have some handouts that came from Brennan's office, but besides that, it's all the same. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? All right, we had a January 9th meeting, and the minutes of that meeting are in your packet.
So move for approval.
Second.
Motion by Fair, second by Olson, that we approve the minutes of the January 9th, 2019 minute meetings and place those on file. Discussion, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. All right, we're back down to that special use permit then. We have special use permit for Tim Gorky, Craig Gorky agent for 217 South Main Street. And Brennan, I'll ask you to set this up for us.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the Plan Commission. We'll do a brief overview. If there's, and the applicants are here this evening to answer any questions that may arise from the Plan Commission. Our office received a special use permit request for 217 South Main Street. It's currently a showroom for cabinetry. Craig Gorky is seeking to do a coffee shop and some form of food service establishment, bakery, or selling of food products in the future. Because this property is located within the B2 Central Business District, it does require a special use permit due to the selling of food, as it's classified as a restaurant. Since this is basically all interior remodeling, there's minimal recommendations that are being required. The applicant has submitted plans for the renovation on the inside of the building and is going through that process right now. The conditions are listed below. If there are any questions from the Plan Commission, please let me know.
On the applicant, it says that the applicant shall contact the chief of the fire department. Has that happened already?
They did submit their fire inspection report, and again, as part of the process, Jane Drager, our building inspector, has been reviewing the plans that have been submitted and I believe, has approved those plans for the proposed changes in uses. Again, most of the improvements are being done on the inside, which is creating an accessible bathroom for the public to utilize. There will be minimal changes on the exterior of the building. Again, maybe a new sign that's going to be in a shared space on there, but the doorways and the windows at this time are going to stay the same. Again, a lot of the improvements are just going to be reducing some of the showroom space on the inside of the floor, and then this will be on the front half of the building facing Main Street.
How much seating is expected? Do you know? Is it going to be similar to Little Fat Gretchen's or something like that?
I'll have to defer that question to the applicant.
Actually, this would be a good time, actually, Tim or Craig or both of you guys, if you want to.
Take a mic.
Yeah, I mean, this
maybe
gives you a
describe
good opportunity to promote your business too, so.
Yes, regarding seating capacity.
Excuse me. You need to give your name for the mic.
Name and address, please.
Craig Gowerke, N4336 Ebby Acres Drive, Waupaca. Regarding seating capacity, I believe I have it at 21 individuals in the space that will be converted.
You want to describe anything else about it? Just to, because you've got Angie here to take notes. I mean, this is your chance to.
And you're on TV and radio. Yeah.
So the vision behind this coffee shop dates back a number of years now, and through my business partner, Alexander LeClaire, and we are we are doing a coffee shop that is for the community. It's a marketplace coffee establishment where you can test and try out different kinds of coffees and teas and purchase the whole beans.
I read through most of the materials, so my question just is, you're going to call your coffee shop the Aquamos, am I saying that?
Aquamos, yep.
Aquamos. So tell us a little bit about them. Obviously, is this a franchise?
It is not.
So, but Aquamos exists in other communities?
It does not.
So this is the very first one?
This is the very first one.
Okay.
Correct.
I see.
And part of the idea is based off of when you go to a brewery, you have a number of different taps. And this is in that style, but a coffee house where there's a number of different roasts from different roasteries.
Okay.
So
in other words, you're going to have selections that people can taste, if you will.
Correct.
In hopes of then kind of settling on one.
exactly.
Yeah, that
exactly.
kind of thing. Okay. And can you give us a little bit, I know you have it written out here, but just for the sake of people here, what's your timeline? If everything moves along with the permits and whatnot, when do you hope to do construction, and then when do you hope to open?
Construction should start as soon as possible, and then hopefully opening by April, late April to May
Of
of
2019?
2019.
And how many, if at its peak, would you anticipate to be employed?
Hopefully at peak, between 8 and 10 employees.
Okay, and your hours would be approximately?
7 to 10,
Okay. 7 days a week, are you thinking?
correct. And that's at full capacity, full
Right.
employment.
Right.
So Brennan, under the request for tonight, we are just granting a special use permit and
You are making a recommendation to the city council for approval of the special use permit, correct?
okay.
I do have one question. Craig, I just want to confirm, you are not going to be actually doing roasting on premise, correct? You'll be, beans will be supplied to you from a third-party vendor?
Correct,
Okay, thank you.
correct.
Okay, if there's not any other questions, we would be looking for a motion.
Before the motion, just one question that, Justin, maybe you can answer for us. It's got here, contact the Director of Public Works commencing any concern related to the city's right-of-way. What is the concern there?
Well, if you were to pop any sidewalk, if you were to replace your laterals, we just want to know. I mean, anytime anybody works within our right of way, we want to know about it.
Okay.
That
So
has nothing to do with the special use permit though, does it? I mean, why are we,
Well, it's,
I mean, that would be part of the building permit. You would make sure that they understood that part of it.
correct, but as part of the special use permit, it also includes the actual site and building plan operation, so that's why that condition's underneath there.
Okay.
Is there anything anticipated in this case?
I don't think so. I don't think you need to upgrade your laterals or your surfaces for any reason. Another reason to get a hold of us is if during construction you needed a couple parking stalls for staging or a contractor for equipment, you know, you need to get permission for that as well. So.
Okay.
Pat, there was some potential concern early on when this project was being proposed about the possibility of a ramp being needed off the back to meet the accessibility requirements. And as you see in your packet, there is a survey on the property, and
Right.
that would be, if there would be any type of work needed or repairs to the stairs or anything else out front.
Is there going to be any kind of change, even cosmetic, in the alley side? No, that's going to remain as is. Well, if nobody else has any other questions, I'll recommend approval of the, I recommend to council that we approve this special use permit for the Aquamos Coffee Shop.
I'll second it.
Motion by Fair, second by Olson, that we recommend to council the special use permit. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. Good luck. Looking forward to it. Be a nice addition down in that area too. That'd be great. All right, let's move on then to the next item. This has to do with a certified survey map for on Nichols Creek Road. Brendan?
Thank you, Mayor, members of the Plan Commission. In your packet, there is a CSM or Certified Survey Map request for a two-lot CSM along Nicholson Creek Road located at 1007 Nicholas Creek Road. The applicant, Mr. Greg Schulke, is seeking to split off an existing house that is on a larger parcel of land. In your packet, you can see there's Lot 1 and Lot 2. Being proposed for the property. Mr. Schulke actually owns the property just directly south along the northwest corner of County Trunk Highway E and Nichols Creek Road. The CSM, or the property, is zoned agriculture, therefore it requires a minimum 5-acre requirement for density for size of parcel, which Lot 1 does meet those requirements. This is a unique property as it abuts the town of Waupaca on the other side. The CSM does reserve future right away in the event that Nichols Creek Road would need to be expanded. So we are preventing any future improvements being in there. There is a condition on the CSM that we've been working with the property owner. We had some outstanding violations on the southern property that we are currently working with Mr. Greg Schulke to clean up. We are seeking approval of or recommendation of approval of the CSM this evening, subject to Mr. Schulke clean up the rest of the zoning violations on or before June 1st of this year. Again, they are minor in nature. It's just a matter of cleaning up the remaining, there's some vehicles out there and some outdoor materials that need to be cleaned up on the property. Otherwise, it's a standard CSM.
Brennan, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Is the purpose, the long-range purpose for dividing this particular piece?
What is the purpose right now?
Yeah.
There is an individual that currently rents the house that is located on Lot 1 and is seeking to purchase Lot 1 from Mr. Schulke. And then the remaining Lot 2 parcel will still remain in the Schulke ownership. I do believe that there's long-term plans to possibly of the property owner that's purchasing the house to purchase Lot 2, but at this time, there's only going to be a transfer of ownership of Lot 1.
Okay, thank you.
Again, the remaining parcel is going to remain ag.
So there was actually two houses on one lot, so we're kind of cleaning that up too?
Actually, no, there was Lot 1 and Lot 2 were actually one parcel originally, and they're dividing it into two.
Okay, so that's just, lot 1 is just vacant land right now?
Lot
Is that right?
Lot 1 is actually where the house is. Lot 2 is the vacant land out there.
Okay.
And then there's another parcel that is still in the same ownership of Mr. Schulke as well. That's not part of the CSM. And that's the property that's located on the northwest corner of County Trunk Highway E and Nichols
So on
Creek.
E and Nichols Creek Road?
Correct.
Okay,
Yep.
so this is further down on.
This is
Nichols-
further north on Nichols Creek Road, correct?
Yeah, well, we're neighbors, so, with property, so I was just wondering.
Is this as far as the city limits goes then?
That is correct, yep.
So are we approving this, or is this something we're recommending?
You are recommending it to the city council for approval.
Okay. I'll move that we approve the certified survey map.
I'll second that.
Motion by Olson, second by Fair, that we recommend to council the division of these two lots with a certified survey map. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion carried. Awesome. Thank you, Brennan.
Yep.
Thanks. Have a good night, you guys. All right, we are, from my understanding, we're tabling the rezoning discussion on John and Carol Piotr's property up on Hillcrest Drive.
That is correct. The applicant is out of town and would like to table the item this evening to the March Plan Commission meeting.
All right, sounds good.
Just informational, all of the documentation and that, should we just keep that for the next time around, or are you going to redo it all again? Is there going to be any change in anything?
There will not be any change in it, no.
Okay,
But it'll
so,
be in the next packet.
It will be, yeah, it's all digital for the council members. If anyone that has a paper
hard
copy,
copy, I'll just hang on to it.
if there's a hard copy, just provide it back to us, please.
Okay, all right.
Okay, we are on, I guess, the zoning code rewrite, unless you got some discussion items. It says none, but.
Nope.
All right. Let's go ahead then, and this was your handout, right? That,
Correct. I'll have Olivia kind of go over the memo, as I was actually on vacation when this was prepared, but it's more of just of an update of where we are with everything. What was in your packet, what was handed out tonight is basically a cleaned up, updated version, a little bit of what was in your packet, just for informational purposes. So I will turn it over to Olivia here, just to kind of give you guys a brief update on where we are with everything.
Thank you, Brennan, members of the Plan Commission. So the memo that was handed out to you in the packet pretty much just goes over what we talked about at the first community chat that was held at Farmers State Bank. It explains that we had about 20 people in attendance and just some of the answers to the questions that we brought up to you at the meeting previously. Also, one of the handouts that was given to you is a comparison between the community members' answers to the questions and then the answers you guys provided to us the meeting beforehand. So you can kind of see what the community ranks as priorities versus what Plan Commission thinks. And then there's also a staff handout of issues staff would like to address with the whole zoning rewrite as well.
So what did you take away from that meeting? I was not in attendance, in terms of the general feeling of the people who were there, that we should do some really big wholesale changes, or most things pretty well acceptable, but with some minor changes?
I think for the most part, when people had frustrations, they had a single or a couple frustrations and they weren't as concerned with the overall project, but the amount of different frustrations was pretty great in number. There was a lot of people that had, people agreed with the general idea and the general mood of the attendees, but overall, I think people were more concerned about the littler areas of concentration.
Can you give an example, just for the sake of?
Yeah, so in the memo, some of the frustrations were minimum square footage requirements, the fact that design requirements oftentimes hindered projects due to cost, the fact that the online ease of access to the zoning code and the zoning maps could be improved a little bit.
Right, we had talked about that at the last meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that, I mean, a bunch of it comes down to the process, how things are, what's permitted and what's not permitted, what's the actual process to go through. If it's a special use requirement or, that lag time. There's definitely conflictions, especially out in the industrial park when it comes to design standards, because there's a multitude of sets out there. And we talked about that a little bit at the Plan Commission, whether there's a desire to or not, or desire not to have standards. And I think that it was mixed a little bit that we heard is, and we're going to do some additional research as we prepare, moving forward. And in your packet as well as, again, we handed out an updated version. The proposed, again, these are, we're not taking a lot of input. We're just kind of giving an update tonight. Right. But the process or where we're going to be leading to over the next couple of months, it's going to be very fluid in nature. I mean, we really needed to have the kickoff meeting with the Plan Commission in January, along with the first community chat, to really kind of gauge where we needed to go and how to handle this process. Now, over the next couple of months, we are planning to what we're calling kind of a lot of the front end specs. So get to the Plan Commission, hopefully get approval. A lot of just the administration pieces of it, the uses, the definitions. That's what we wanted to at least get it in front of you guys this evening. There's actually a color-coded version of the definitions. Right now, we have probably about 3 pages of definitions in our zoning code, and we're actually needing to expand that to more like 15, just because of the amount of other, that we've encountered over time and just our research into other municipal zoning codes and what their definitions look like. So again, we're really looking at that process over the next couple of months, really getting that administration, that process and procedure. There's been some discussion that we talked about how things get approved within the community, whether it can be staff level, whether it needs to be a Plan Commission, or what that looks like. So we're going to provide some examples to the Plan Commission over the next couple of months as well. So that's really kind of what we're focusing on right now. We're really also gearing up for that second community chat that's going to be in April, and that's really where we're going to start defining or identifying some community character ideas and community character areas, as I'll call it. And what I mean by that is, there's different areas of the community that have some distinct bones and characters already. Downtown being one of them, our historic district. We have development along Fulton Street. We have the industrial park. So we're going to be doing an image preference survey and I think I explained it last month, but we're working in partnership with the library to kind of do a past, present, and future presentation. So that second community chat's actually going to be held in the library, and it's going to be interactive, which will allow people to come in, whether it's going to be staff-led or it's going to be, other times that you can just freely come in, not only to look at the exhibit, but also partake in how do you want this community to grow? What would you like to? How would you like it to look like? Here's some. A lot of it's gonna be based on images. So here's different categories. Here's different ideas. That's really gonna help us as we move forward, create some of those design standards that you guys, the Plan Commission, was seeking a little bit, and provide us guidance how to direct that long term. So that we're gearing up for that over the next couple of months as well. Speaking of definitions, the sheet that you gave to us, did you
come up with these definitions based upon like other packets that you looked at or other cities, and then just sort of put those all together?
Yep, we're utilizing multiple resources. I mean, we're not utilizing zoning codes that are not there are some, we're using examples basically, but there's some that are very closely knit to the size of Waupaca and everything else. But we're also looking at just more modernized zoning codes as well and what's being taken. So we review those, we highlight them, we take them out, saying, yep, this would be applicable to the city, this wouldn't be. I actually have a planner's dictionary that has probably over 100 some pages of definitions that are utilized all over the country. So we kind of went through that as well. Also, that was handed out is kind of a use table as well. We provided an example of what we would like to see long term, and that's that color sheet that would have been the third page or third packet you guys got this tonight. That's just an example from an existing code, but we wanted the Planning Commission and the public to start thinking about different uses and the breakup of it. That example we provided is something that we hope to get to as part of the implementation of the zoning code. It's a lot more visible, a lot easier for people to find going, this is the type of use I want to do. What districts am I allowed to do it in? So that's the end goal. But we really need to start at the beginning of what uses do we want to see in this community. Again, that's similar to the definitions, Pat, is that we've gone through other municipal codes and we look at the uses and what's identified right now in the zoning code, and we need to significantly expand that, because I think a great example is what you saw tonight was, the coffee shop and bakery. I mean, that's a special use permit, but, we don't really have a clear definition for some of those uses here and whether that should have been a special use permit or not. So we really want you guys to start taking a look at the uses as well and thinking about that.
Well, obviously, the live-work situation on Main Street too, which we've all gone through now, is another good example.
Yep, correct.
Okay, any other questions? So the process from moving forward is,
We'll be bringing back next month's meeting. We intend to bring a lot of the kind of front-end specs, policies and procedures, process, at least introduce it to the Planning Commission, kind of go through that a little bit. We're not expecting you guys to approve it that night, but at least we'll start going through that process so we can start doing the check marks on some of the stuff.
Sure.
Doesn't mean that we can't go back to it as we go through this process. As I said, it's fluid. If we identify halfway through, hey, we need to shift something because that's not the way we want to do things, we can certainly go back. But we're really just trying to get some of that front end work done on this before we really hit the hard notes on design, quality of life, look and feel of things. So.
In the end result, I'm just going to use the glossary here as an example. If we go through the glossary, not by item, but just in general and say, yeah, this is a good deal, do we have to recommend it then to the council?
No.
No.
The goal would be, the goal is to get feedback from the Planning Commission. Again, we're really looking to you to help guide us through this process. Ultimately, what's going to happen is we're going to get to a draft at some point later this year, and then that draft is going to go through that public process, everything else, and at some point, you'd be making a recommendation to the city or the city council as a whole for the district or for the new updated zoning code.
Okay.
the whole code.
The whole code, correct.
I'm glad you didn't make us read through the whole glossary tonight, Pat.
And so these are just little pieces of that whole.
These are starting to be pieces of it, correct. Yep.
Gotcha.
Okay. Awesome. Did you notice on that picture over there that it almost looks like they light up now? Sorry, I was looking at.
Check with the artist.
Yeah. All right, let's move on then. We have building permits, code enforcement, development, so on.
Yep, the reports are in your packet for reference. January is, it's kind of the colder month right now, so we're seeing more HVAC and electrical work right now. Not any major building projects underway at this time, but we will start. We are still seeing plans coming in. Jane's still very busy reviewing proposed projects. I was just speaking with the mayor this evening. 112 North Main, which is Rick and Tammy Wolter. That project will be moving forward here shortly, as they'll be doing some demo and reconstruction here. Most of the code enforcement right now is either unlicensed vehicles or because of the snowstorms that we've occurred, just the clearance of sidewalks. And from a development standpoint, we're working through and finishing up our development review. report for the year. That would be going to the council probably in March. And just working through the zoning code aspect right now, so.
Awesome. Robin, did you have a reason for being here except that you wanted to see the new lights?
Oh, I love the lights.
Yeah.
No, I'm here with Hub Ministries, and I'm just here to listen and learn.
Okay,
No other reason.
okay. Just didn't want you to go unheard here.
Well, let's hope she came to the right place.
I like the picture, too. It does look like the lights.
Doesn't it? Yeah. I never noticed that before.
No.
Because it always was so dark in here before.
Every other, Justin, you gotta take it out. Too late.
All right, anything else? Anything else, commissioners? Go to the meeting? All right, we need a motion to adjourn then.
Second.
Olson, Fair, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against, motion carried. We're adjourned at 5:49 PM. Thanks, everybody. Safe drive.